President Donald Trump last night was impeached by the House of Representatives. He is only the third U.S. president to be impeached by the House. The votes came down basically along party lines. There were just two Democrats, one from Minnesota, one from New Jersey, breaking ranks to vote no to the charges of obstruction of Congress and abuse of power. HuffPost White House correspondent SV Dáte joins us now from D.C. with more. SV, thanks for coming back on the show. What happens next?
Well, at some point, the Senate will get this. There's been some talk now that the House may hang on to the articles until they get a better idea of what it is the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell actually intends to do. The word is he wants to get through this pretty quickly, just have a really quick trial and get it out of the way and be done with it. And Senate Democrats have been wanting to bring in witnesses like Mick Mulvaney, for example, or Secretary of State Pompeo, and talk about what they knew. And so there's that fight over that. The one leverage that Pelosi has, that Speaker Pelosi has, is to hang on to them for a little bit. So we'll see what happens next. But as to what happened last night, not really a surprise. The big surprise for the White House, perhaps, is how many Democrats went along with this. There was some thought that as many as a dozen Democrats would vote against them. That did not happen.
Hey, Brian Chung here. So, SV, I want to expand on that thought. There were three Democrats, I believe, from Minnesota, New Jersey, and then Maine. I'm wondering, was that lower than the expectations for how many Democrats would defect in voting against these impeachment measures? And if that's the case, then what does that tell you about maybe the odds of this in the Senate?
One, it doesn't tell us anything about the odds in the Senate, but it does tell us the relationship between Donald Trump and Nancy Pelosi has always been an interesting one. Trump thought that he could roll her because, he's a great deal maker, and he thought that because there were some squabbling early on as to whether she'd actually be Speaker, whether someone would challenge her, that maybe he would have some influence over that. No, not at all. She's more powerful than ever. She held every single Democrat that she thought. The one split his vote from Maine, Golden did, but that really didn't mean that much. He still voted to convict on the first one. So going forward, that tells you that when Nancy Pelosi says something, she means it, and she'll probably be able to deliver on votes. That's something that the White House is going to have to worry about in the coming months.
SV, I was following your tweets closely last night. You were reporting from the rally that Trump held amid the impeachment vote. Very interesting, some fiery moments there, including what he said about Representative Dingell. Give us a little bit of color from that rally.
Well, unfortunately, I was not actually there. I was watching it like most people from the TV or from the computer screen. But, I've been to these things. They are, the best way to describe them is like a world wrestling event. It's, the villains are known and the hero's known. He comes in and he trashes the villains, and then everyone goes home. In this case, though, there was a tone that was a little bit different. I could see that he was extremely angry. There was no reason at all to go to Michigan, of all places, and trash John Dingell. I mean, that made no sense at all. You could just tell how angry he was at the whole thing. What he said about having given money to Representative Maloney, and then she turns around and impeaches him. I want my money back. I mean, there's some telling moments here in terms of seeing the president's transactional nature. But was it that different from his other rallies? No, not really. I mean, he likes to get out all his rage at these things, and probably last night more so than others.
And then finally, we do have another Democratic presidential candidate debate tonight. Maybe that fact has been a little bit lost amid the impeachment brouhaha. But what do you expect from tonight, from another debate? And obviously, we're starting to see that field of candidates on the stage cull a little bit.
Right. And remember, the reason candidates drop out is that they run out of money. I mean, that's how presidential campaigns work. And if you can raise enough to keep going, to pay a staff, to hang around in Iowa and in New Hampshire, you can make a comeback if you do surprisingly well. That's what happened to John Kerry. That's what happened to John McCain. But usually, presidential campaigns end because, they just run out of gas. So what we're seeing is not necessarily a culling because of debate performances and so forth. We're seeing one because this is what always happens. Are we going to see anything new tonight? Probably not. And we probably won't see anything new until after New Hampshire. That's when I think people will start dropping out because they're really not doing well in actual voting, apart from the money issue, which we'll see some more candidates leave, I think, before then.
Right. Well, it is going to get very interesting soon enough. SV Dáte of HuffPost, thanks so much for coming back on.
It's been my pleasure.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.